day 16, the 30-day solo podcast challenge. Look at you. You're over halfway there. I'm David Hooper from bigpodcast.com. My job is to help you grow a big audience for your message, help you grow a big audience for yourself. And the way we are doing that is via podcasting. This series will help you clarify your message, improve your delivery, and make more money. When you've got a solo podcast, you don't have to worry about splitting that money, man. It is all on you. But that's also the thing that scares a lot of people from doing a solo podcast. So we're working through that. I'm going to give you content. I'm going to give you ways to connect with listeners. I'm going to help you develop the skills that it takes for you to command an audience through your microphone with just you. No music, no co-host, no person to interview. And trust me, it feels awesome. And you're going to feel that way when we get to day 30. But to get there, you got to start on day 1. If you haven't already done that, if you haven't heard the intro episode, that explains the why and the what of everything happening here. I want you to go to bigpodcast.com/subscribe. Get it. Listen to it. Work with me through this process. It's not random stuff. I am taking you step by step in order through a process designed to give you these kind of results, more clarity, improved delivery, and the ability to make more money. Even if you're not making money via your podcast, you are building skills that will translate elsewhere. Speaking, email, communication. Family conflict? Not anymore. Not with these skills that we're helping to develop here, because you're going to get better at listening and you're going to get better at speaking. You're going to find your life so much smoother when you go through this 30-day process. You're going to come to me. You're going to say, David, I know you're a marketing guy. Your job is to help me make more money, grow a bigger audience. But you saved my marriage thanks to the communication skills that I developed through the 30-day solo podcast challenge. I'm not kidding. Get all 30 days and see for yourself. bigpodcast.com/subscribe. Previously, day number 15, we talked about the weirdest thing. I gave this story of Mike Stewart. He's making $30,000 a pop with a bug exterminating podcast. And get this, fewer than 1,000 people per episode are listening to it. That's crazy. It's totally counterintuitive. Everybody thinks they need a big audience. You don't. You just need the right audience. And the way you're getting the right audience is through a clarified message. That's the number one thing that we're working on during these 30 days. Clarifying your message, being able to deliver it, and connect with your audience in a personal and human way. A way that makes them want to come back and listen to you, subscribe to you, tell their friends about you. Here's the focus for today. When I told you those stories yesterday, the guy cleaning parking lots that has a 6-figure business, the guy cleaning fish tanks that has a 6-figure business, Mike Stewart with the $30,000 a pop bug exterminating podcast. That was a surprise. And that's the question. What's something that's happened through your podcast that surprised you? It can be related to the podcast itself or the business behind it. Or maybe you just met some cool people. You know, sometimes that happens. I'm in Nashville. There's a band coming through town playing a venue called Bridgestone Arena. Holds about 20,000 people. I've got a friend of mine. She really likes the band. She saw they were going on tour. She goes, hey, they're coming through town. Well, it just so happens that I got this guy's cell phone number in my cell phone. How crazy is that? I can call him directly. I could get myself comped. I know that guy now, like the guy on stage, the singer in this band. And I could call him up and I could make that happen. Not only tickets, but I'm sure I could get backstage as well if I wanted to. That is how close I am with this guy. We have each other's numbers in our phone and we communicate that way. But I'm going to give you another story of something that surprised me that was a direct result of my podcast. First, let me talk about why this is important. What is something that's happened to you through your podcast that surprised you? The reason that question is important, and the reason knowing the answer to that question is important, is because it shows your progress. You thought one thing would happen, or maybe you thought something wouldn't happen, or maybe you didn't think anything. Then something did happen. Maybe it was good, maybe it was bad, but either way, it was a surprise. Here's something that snuck up on me. I don't think anybody would think anything of this except other podcasters, so I want to share it with you. As a podcaster, I think it's going to mean more to you than any other story that I could possibly tell you. As I've talked about before, how I got into podcasting was via broadcast radio. And over the years, we've cut some really great episodes. Radio not being like podcasting, you know, once we put something out there, it's not like anybody can get it any time. You've got to wait till the show is on the air. You've got to listen to it. You can't just get it on demand, not on the broadcast side. So we decided to rerun some of the older episodes that were really good. We called it The Vault, From the Vault, and we had these great guests. But the promos needed to be changed. I couldn't say something like, hey, it's Dave Stewart from the Eurythmics coming in this week. He's going to talk about his new album, Blackbird Sessions. That's this week. I couldn't do it because in that example, Blackbird Sessions, that album is old now. Dave Stewart has done things since then. So I had to go in and recut some of the promos. And it said something like, hey, it's David Hooper from Music Business Radio. We're going to reach into the vault and pull out one of our very best, most requested episodes. This is my interview with Dave Stewart. We're going to talk about blank, blank, blank. Anyway, the point is this, as I was going through these promos, I was taken back to a time when I was newer at radio, because I'd come in there with a little bit of experience, but not much. I certainly wasn't as smooth as I am now. And I was making all sorts of mistakes. I would script out everything. And I went in for the Vault promos, the rerun promos, several years later. And I was nailing them, man. Bam, 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 bam. And I didn't feel pressure from the other people in the room, because I used to feel that. It's not like my podcast. My podcast is just me. I engineer it, I produce it, I host it, obviously. But when I'm on the radio, I've got a producer in there, I've got guests in there, I've got an engineer in there. Of course, I didn't have a guest for these recuts, but I did have a producer there, I did have an engineer, and I used to feel a lot of pressure. And I'd be blah, 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 blah. I'd mess it up. It's about a 15-second promo. I have to cut it several times. Or they'd have to piece it together, splice it, comp it, whatever you want to call it. Man, I was booking through these things. Bam, bam, bam. They were perfect. I was on a roll. And I walked out of there. I was like, damn. This is amazing. This is amazing. This is the skill that you develop by showing up every week. You don't see it from week to week. But when you go back a year, 2 years, 5 years, you can really notice it. And that's why I'm telling you on this 30-day solo podcast challenge that I want you to get to the end of this, day number 30. I want you to cut your show, edit it, get it up. And I want you to go back and listen to episode 1. And you're going to be amazed. You're going to say, whoa, I really jumped in here and I didn't see the progress happening. But now I do. It's a month later. I can see it. And maybe it's not going to be big. Maybe it's just a little bit. But it's going to be noticeable. And maybe, like me, going in there, recutting those promos, you're going to be surprised. Because when you started this, you thought, I'm going to jump in, but it's not going to happen for me. It'll happen for everybody else maybe, but no, not me. Then you're going to find out that it did happen to you. That's my goal. That's why I'm doing this, and that's why we're jumping in so hard. This is not easy. We are just a little bit over halfway. I know it's not easy because I'm doing it here with you, but you're sticking it out with me, and we're getting better. You never stop getting better when you jump in. Stretch yourself, record it, edit it, stretch yourself the next day. You never stop improving. You never stop improving when you dig deep, outline those episodes, record them, edit them, and really work on your hosting. There's always somewhere else to go. So again, I'm right there with you. Here's what I want you to do. Get your pen, get your paper, outline the episode with 3 things, the beginning, the middle, and the end. The intro, you talk about what you thought was going to happen when you started your podcast. The meat, something that surprised you, and then wrap things up, something that happened because of that surprise. Remember, stories are important, so I want you to add those stories. Personal stories are best. I want you to really connect with the people who are listening to you. Let them get to know you. That's why they're listening. Your podcast isn't about you, but people want somebody that they can connect to. I talked about this a couple of days ago. Don't be that host that could be easily replaced and nobody would ever know. People don't want that nameless, faceless host. They want personality. So bring it. This is your opportunity. Nobody has to listen to this. Hit record it, edit it, go through the motions. If you want to release it, great. But if you don't, that's okay. The important thing is that you get in there, you record it. I don't want you to think about it. Again, the important thing is you've got to record it. You've got to do the work, outline it, record it, listen to it. But what you don't have to do is release it. So work on that outline. Don't overthink it. Hit record. Go for it. And if you want to send it to me, you want my comments on it, bigpodcast.com is how to get me. That is it for today. Right now, before you hit record, Go to bigpodcast.com/subscribe. Make sure you're getting this whole thing, all 30 days of it. I want you to get to the end of this. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be 30 days in a row. Maybe it's taking you 60 days because you're doing this every other day. I don't care. But I want you to do all of these things because I want you to get to day 30, even if it's on day 60. I want you to go through that exercise. Then I want you to go back to day number 1. I want you to listen to that. And you're going to be surprised just like I was. You'll say, whoa, I have gotten better because of the 30-day solo podcast challenge. Bigpodcast.com/subscribe. That makes sure you get hooked up. And while you're there, I've got episode templates for you, social media templates for you, guest contracts, music contracts, so you can use music on your show. I've got it all for you in my podcast toolkit. It's free to you. Bigpodcast.com/subscribe has it. Thank you for listening and participating in the 30-day solo podcast challenge. I will see you tomorrow for day number 17.